Hello, this is Dr. Katie from Craig Chiropractic and Kinesiology, and today I'm just going to continue my discussion about different kinds of doctors and something that actually came up while I was doing my research for my previous videos. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you may know that I talked about all the different kinds of doctors for humans, such as medical doctors, chiropractors, osteopaths, acupuncturists, and more. So feel free to head on over to those videos. I also talked about the education it takes to become a doctor. And in that, it brought up some questions around the field of naturopathic medicine, because that field can be a little bit confusing. If you're someone in the naturopathic field, feel free to jump in on this chat and share some insight. I would love to hear from some naturopaths that are actually there and know this, but I'm just going to share a little bit about my experience. I do know some doctors of naturopathic medicine. One of them was my own professor in college, and I've also shadowed with some others. Seemed like great practitioners and providers. I know of some others in our area here. And I just wanted to explain that there is some confusion. So what is the confusion? So there is a type of doctor called a naturopathic doctor, or an ND. Now that is not where the confusion lies. The confusion comes from the term naturopath causes some confusion. So I'm going to explain why. So naturopathic doctors, okay, so the NDs, that is quite a mouthful to say, like, hey, I'm a naturopathic doctor, or I'm a doctor of naturopathic medicine, right? So often they will just call themselves naturopaths, which makes sense. Like, I'm a chiropractor, but I'm a doctor of chiropractic, or a doctor of chiropractic medicine. You see how much of a mouthful that is to say. So for simplicity, I will say I'm a chiropractor. So doctors of naturopathic medicine will often say they are naturopaths in the same way. And that's great, and there's nothing wrong with that. Where that gets confusing is there's actually another kind of naturopath, okay? So again, doctors of naturopathic medicine will often call themselves naturopaths. But then over here, there is a different kind of naturopath. And their schooling and education looks very different than the doctors on the other side. The schooling for naturopaths can range anything from a few months certification to several years of education for a degree. And degrees can vary, all the way up to masters, it appears, from the little bit I've been looking. Now, this is kind of confusing. So you have the doctors of naturopathic medicine, and then you have your naturopaths, right? One has a doctor's degree, one technically doesn't. The part where this is confusing is the doctors will call themselves naturopaths, and the naturopaths, some of them will actually call themselves doctors. You see the confusion? It's like, well, which one's which? Are they all the same? Are those interchangeable terms? And the more I'm researching, with all honesty, they're really not. If you've watched one of our previous videos, we talked about what the education looks like for doctors in the United States. Just to quickly recap, that education includes a minimum of 8 years of college education, actually completing a doctorate degree, so actually having a diploma that says doctor degree. Having that, you have to complete your national board exams. That's what we call them as chiropractors. Medical doctors have those. Every kind of doctor has their either board or licensing exam that they must take. And then the third thing you need to practice as a doctor is to get licensed in your state or jurisdiction. Okay, so you can see that's a very strict thing that you need to be over on the doctor's side. And there is, in fact, I believe I wrote the name of it down. There is an exam, the naturopathic physician's licensing exam must be passed, okay? So that is something very distinctive about the naturopathic doctors and NDs, which I want to respect. On the other side, for naturopaths, again, the education can vary. It can be anywhere from a certification to a diploma, but it can be like a few years or more. Depends on the school, depends on the program. It's not standardized like the naturopathic doctor program is, okay? And so the hard part is the education is different, meaning that the qualifications of the health practitioners may be different. The hard part is someone over on this side, the naturopathic world, do they have a right to call themselves doctor? Is that honest? Is that fair? If someone did an online program where they only spent 3 to 4 years in a program, do they have a right to call themselves doctor, where the person over here spent at least 8 plus did all their exams and licensing? Is that fair? It's not really my place to say. I'm just providing education and just also sharing in the naturopathic world. This is very confusing. It's very confusing for patients that are trying to find natural professionals. It's confusing for me as a provider when I'm looking to maybe refer a patient or work with another provider. I'd like to know what your qualifications are. And qualifications go far beyond degrees, of course. I'm sure there are many well-qualified naturopaths who can help you. But at the end of the day, as health professionals, we are legally held to a higher standard, not only in the eyes of the law, but in the eyes of our patients. We are health professionals to help them, meaning we want to be honest and above board. And I don't know, is it right to call yourself a doctor if you have not fully completed what doctors typically do? Is that fair? Is that right? Again, not my place to make that call, but legally it varies by the state. There are some states where it's illegal as a naturopath to call yourself a doctor of naturopathic medicine. There's other states where it's okay too. Okay, it's going to depend on your jurisdiction. I'm just stating that that's super confusing as a patient and as another practitioner. And in some ways, that's kind of disheartening for the doctors over here, because they sacrificed 8 years of their life in school doing these exams, doing everything. So someone that's done much less gets the same title. I just think that's sad. I'm just going to be honest. So all I'm doing is just bringing some information. Again, I found this confusing. I don't really have the answers for you, but I'm just trying to explain the differences so that now you know what the differences are, and maybe we can just bring awareness and hopefully just better educate ourselves. The goal, no matter what type of practitioner we are, is to put our patients' health first, keep them safe, and be able to help them. So that should be our goals. Well, thank you for listening today. Do you have any thoughts on this discussion? Feel free to drop them below, and we'll talk more soon. Thank you.